Welcome back again, you nasty ragamuffins. Once again, another show of the Fried Chicanery, featuring me, Carl, and Horror, and Baku, who apparently is still away and or eating. How you doing, host?
He's still being a fat fuck.
We were just having a discussion about a thing before we started the show. I would like to say, before we even get into the topics, husbands, look at your wives. Wives, look at your husbands. And let them know that, baby, I would choose you over the bear and the tree. Today's show is all about understanding people. The subject of today's big topic is all about understanding people, and really understanding what did Wendigoon do to make that nigga that fucking mad? And when you find out the answer, you're going to be shamed and surprised. However, to just touch bases on what we had just discussed. Earlier in the week, there was well, not even earlier, technically yesterday, there was a thread that was put forth by an engagement bait farm account that was basically trying to put men against women, as they always do, while also pushing for radfem topics. I think the thing that I've arrived at when it comes to seeing those accounts is that they're free engagement bait, not just for themselves, but also for you, off of them, because their takes are usually retarded, but what usually matters at the deeper end of it is understanding the world. And man, I'm all about understanding and talking. I yap for a living. So, the topic itself is basically men being somehow ... emotional children who are overzealous sex fiends that only want wives that have sex with them like porn stars and never understand that a woman can be tired. Whereas the post itself was a man talking about how they were at the mercy of their wife seemingly never wanting to be intimate with him as a initiation of her own choice, which made him feel like he was somehow forcing himself on her. Because even though there are many people who like to say this, men are not in fact bears, unless you ask us to be. You think that's a joke, but I'm not joking. Sometimes you need to tell us that you want us to pretend like we don't know you, walk out of the room, and then walk back into the room and take advantage of you. You have to tell us, because some of us, as Carl's hand raised, are stupid. And you have to tell us with your words, because our brains are not wired to connect 2 + 2 = 4, because we need the extra part of consent. It's weird, because whenever consent is ever brought up, people just assume that men never think about these things, but we do. That's why those of you who've been in the dating pool have probably noticed that there are people that don't approach women anymore. It's because women said, don't approach us. Who do you think you are? Just walking up to us in the middle of a McDonald's queue. I'm trying to get my lunch, Negro. So men stop approaching them. And then they have the audacity to say, I'm double booed up, I'm double cheeked up, where the man at? Now, the problem itself comes down to the women that do this can't pull. They have no game, they have no personality. Now, as a resident local personality haver, how do you feel about that?
What?
Women having no game to pull men.
Oh, you mean pearly things?
Yes, people like her.
Oh, I think it's I think it's the dumbest thing to want your cake and want to eat it too. But what we were discussing is I made a comment under Carl's post that I wanted to know what was going on behind the relationship and what her side of it was, purely because relationships are complicated. They are always going to be complicated. I am of the mind that if you think you're in the perfect relationship, you're probably wrong. No relationship is perfect. And if you are in a relationship where you never fight, something is very wrong in that relationship, because that's not how it works. So, I wanted to know, because I know a prevailing problem with women in relationships lately is men have, I'm not saying all men, but it seems to be an increasing thing, or an increasing trend, where men want to come home after work and not want to do anything else. They just want to do their own thing. And women who work are left to cook, clean, take care of kids, whatever. It literally has been scientifically proven that when this happens, the woman views their man as another child. And when a woman views a man as their other child, you do not want to fuck your own kid. There is no bigger turnoff. Besides someone shitting in your bed, I guess. So it would stand to reason that it would take a little bit more, I guess, help for her to want to initiate. So that's why I was curious, because I've experienced this before, not with hubby, but with a former partner. So
was it?
Yes, shots fired at Pearly Things and Hi K Huck. Yes, I had to fire shots at her because I did tweet about this before, as well this week, because there was a comment made about how Pearly Things can't pull because she ugly as sin, and I'm like, no, she's not just ugly as sin. She's she doesn't have any game, and she doesn't have a personality that will pull a guy. She ain't funny. She isn't witty. She doesn't come off as pleasant in any sort of manner. So why would you get a good man? Why would you get a high quality man with the way you is? You wouldn't. So yes, I have to take shots at her.
Oh, let me get my in too.
Deserves it.
Oh, let me get my in too. And I'm about to, like, a lot of y'all feel like you're gonna catch some strays. Don't worry. I'm real artistic with this shit. Women, if you think that you're just gonna go out to the fucking game store and you're gonna find a guy and you're gonna walk up and go, hey, why don't you take me back to your house and show me your gunpla collection? You need to understand, we know your tricks. It doesn't work on us anymore. It might have worked on motherfuckers in the 1990s, but with you bitches, and you know I ain't talking about the women because I don't call women bitches. You bitches have destroyed so many of our things, invaded our hobbies, invaded our spaces, invaded our friend groups, invaded our lives, invaded our workspaces. You've done so much fucking shit while talking so much fucking shit, where you were only allowed and enabled to be nearby a topic or a situation because your boyfriend had control of something or was the one who did it, that you believe that encroaches you in having game. I'm so sorry, you're gonna have to do a lot more than just throw some coochie at me in order to get me to get you involved in my hobbies. Because you motherfuckers are boring. You got no personality. You don't even know how to approach a guy. You don't know how to make us laugh. We are uncomfortable around you. I was just saying this before, and I will repeat it again. We do not approach people anymore. Because when we allowed you in, what did you do as a report to us? You destroyed the shit we loved. If you didn't directly destroy it, you had a hand in fostering the personality quirks and the behavioral matters and sometimes the arguments to then destroy communication, not just between people in the thing, whether it be a hobby, a space, a business, a franchise, or an industry, but between individuals themselves. Men don't approach women anymore when it comes to dating because women told men, fuck off, we're not interested in it. We also we're told you should be willing to come forward and take the L and put yourself out there. And you also told men you should be willing to tell us your deepest, darkest secrets. What did men get as a response to that? They got manipulated and gaslit. They got manipulated and gaslit. They got shit on. They got talked about behind their partners' backs. They got used as horror stories. They got used as ick stories, where their intimate partner, of sometimes, in many people's cases, the worst one I've seen, somehow a person of 25, 30 years, tries to tell their partner something deeply personal and intimate, or they cry at a situation, and all of a sudden the love and the juiciness of the fucking of supposedly the prize that men only care about dries up worse than the Gobi Desert. And then we're called monsters because how couldn't you understand why I'd picked the bear? The arguments, you see, are the worst part, because those arguments foster a whole bunch of other shit. Now, it's not all people. It's not all. It's both men and women that can be responsible for this. But women, you're gonna have to take your flowers on this. Hold the whole fucking flower shop and make sure you don't cut yourself when you get the black roses in your bouquet. You guys have to be willing to understand that you no longer can use these arguments of saying my husband doesn't love me because he won't engage and he won't entertain my arguments or my questions of if he'd love me if I was a worm. No. We understand that you want us to listen to you vent. And we understand that you want us not to solve your problem. Hello, Spectre. You don't want us to solve your problem. You want us to be able to vent to you about your problem, so you feel that you have a space in which you can decompress and de-stress, because you don't want to feel like you're a baby factory that only serves to cook, clean, and wash the shit stains off our drawers. I believe it. I'm with you right there. Hold that for a second. Step to the side. Write this down. I want to be able to come home and do the same thing too, period. Semicolon. I also want to be able that when I need to communicate shit to you, that you are listening to me when I say it, because, it is important to me that you understand why I'm passionate, what I'm passionate about. Period. Now there's somebody in the audience there that's like, who hurt you? What a great question. I ain't gotta go into it. But for every single person...
Who didn't hurt you is the question. They really should be asking. True.
But for every single person who did, it was character development. Have you ever heard a person say, oh my god, I wouldn't have ever expected you to know that. Who trained you? Women, I need you to know every single time a man hears you say that, it is a silent dog whistle that you just set off in our mind that said we can never be with you personally. Every single time. Because it's not about who trained me. I remember shit. I'll give you an example. When we have to put our child into the car, I occasionally, because I'm a first-time dad, I wouldn't know these things. I didn't know that the center bar of a child seat, that can also double as a booster seat, is meant to be a rumble bar to protect the baby in case the car flips. So I just put him in the seat, thought I was done. Only 2 times did my wife ever have to tell me, baby, you're doing it wrong. A few days ago, I had to go over to her place because we don't live in the same house right now. I live in the house that I and my sister own, and I work as a caretaker to my mother and upkeep the house as the caretaker. So I'm technically a stay-at-home dad for 2 houses. And I had to go there because we couldn't find a babysitter for 4 hours because our normal babysitter that we usually regularly depend upon, that's not the grandparent to our son, had died. The babysitter's dad died, and she needed to mentally be able to get herself right because she wasn't in a place where she could be able to look after herself and a child. And she's got grandchildren of her own as well. So I had to go over there and watch for a bit. And it's not that I had to stop what I was doing and I needed to go to... No, I don't spend enough time with my child as is. I should be spending a lot more time with him. So I cherished all 4, technically it wasn't even 4, it was like 3 hours and 20 minutes because she came 40 minutes early, the aunt. So when we were putting him in the car so that she could go be able to watch him because she had the rest of the block of time for that day, I made sure to show and remind her of not only everything we needed in the list, of which my wife left both her and myself, but I needed to make sure I went through the list, found the thing that was missing, and then bring it out to the car. And then as she was putting him into the car, I saw that she didn't have the thing up. So I just simply did it, and then I explained to her, I don't know if you know this, but this bar needs to be up. And both her and the roommate rationalized between themselves why that was. And the other day, literally I think 2 nights ago, when my wife came over to drop some stuff off to me, she was handing me the stuff that she was bringing me to get, and said to me, by the way, honey, good job. And I'm dumbfounded saying, huh? She's like, you remembered to put the bar up. And she tried to stop herself from grinning and smiling, but she was happy as fuck that I remembered that. Simple things like that.
You learned.
Yes, simple things like that.
You learning.
Simple things like that make a woman's fucking lifetime, let alone her week, her month, or her day. Now, granted, it would be great if I had learned that without her telling me. But at the same time, it's not about me needing to divine what she needs. Because you see, the women who do that, you're probably the worst ones. I'm not psychic. I shouldn't need you to try and very hardly hint at me what I should do. Because I'm an adult. If you need me to learn something, you gotta tell me. And ironically enough, the circle of women who have no game, and the circle of women who are really bad at giving other people instructions, and treat men like children because they're just not learning from getting hints, is a whole complete circle. And all of y'all got trash coochie and can't give head.
Damn, shots fired.
I can tell you this right now, for all those girls that say you want a golden retriever boyfriend, are you about to be willing to listen to him autistically explain to you for 20 minutes the mechanics of the game he's playing so that you can be able to cheer him on when he does something spectacular?
Anyone who says golden retriever boyfriend ain't doing that shit. I'll tell you straight up, dog.
I can tell you right now, all you motherfuckers just like, I want him like this. I want my boyfriend to be this. If this man, he needs to be Gomez if he wants to get it. Nah, bitch, you want some dick? You better be acting like Morticia.
Damn.
God, I am.
Anyways, moving on.
At his moment.
Moving on.
We have an update to the Helldivers story, don't we, Carl?
Yes, we do.
Indeed, we do.
All right. For those of you who remember from when we covered it, I believe it was the second one or the third show.
2 weeks ago, probably.
They're blending together in my brain. It was the first one, yes. Piles STD, the former now CEO of Helldivers 2, has chosen to step down in his position as CEO, but he's not quitting his company. He is instead taking on the new position of becoming the new creative director of the game. And the reason why, specifically, is because he personally wants to ensure that the game's quality, following everything else that was done, will remain of a high quality. I believe that this was inspired because of his particular personality of what the fatal flaw live service games have them in. There is an issue that happens where people believe that by being the CEO of the company, you're doing the best thing that you can possibly do, which realistically you're not. When you're a game developer, you have to wear many hats. We actually talked about this the other day. You have to wear many hats, and you have to learn to navigate the troubled waters that come with understanding the people that you're trying to make a game for. Those of you who are familiar with the process of Yoshi P know exactly what I'm talking about. You have to actually run the game not as it is a game, but as a living, breathing organism. In Yoshi P's case, he runs
It is a machine you have to keep maintaining.
Well, yes, but the way that Yoshi P sees it, and the way that pretty much all of us have been taught this, any person who's currently taking CPSC inside of a college for any kind of technical learning, especially if you're on the games track for CPSC, knows this. You're told to treat it like it's a living organism of a country that you are running. If a person is vocally complaining about a problem, you should try to listen to it, Not because, here goes Carl complaining about the 51st time about him having a hard time finding fragments to farm in his game. You should treat it like it is the kind of issue that would cause you to create a state of emergency. Because the people who are not vocal aren't there. So they're not talking. Because you didn't do what they wanted, and now they are gone. And maybe they probably won't come back. But even though he chose to do this of his own choice, the problem came a part of, I believe, the negative sentiment of himself needing to make the choice to step down. Because the game has multiple problems right now. They're still dealing with turning back Sony's issues with announcing things. That's the first problem. They are trying to solve the problem as it is with what is causing them to not be able to bring up the issue. The issue itself is that they want to try and focus. I have it on screen. I'm pulling it up on screen now, rather. They want to focus on what they perceive to be the problem that's controlling people's inability to really connect to the game. And ultimately, it's that a lot of it has still been poisoned by Sony as a whole. So on screen right now is the article that he himself links that announces him stepping down and replacing the CEO and becoming the new COO. He wants to make the game better. Because right now, Helldivers 2 is still in dire straits. The game is basically functionally having its reach and its ability to grow cut off by the Sony decision. Because you can't buy the game in the regions that they've locked it away from. So, he recognizes the problem. The game is not good. They rushed out a lot of new weapons, they rushed out a lot of new changes and a lot of new balances, not so that they could nerf the game into the ground and take away your fun, but because they're trying to figure out what they were going to do leading up to the Sony thing. Because anybody who's been playing the game, you might have noticed, they're not releasing any current war bonds right now. In fact, they're actually talking about the first ever thing that is now happening in its storyline of the game, where you're being told to blow up a fucking planet. That'd be a really cool thing to log in and take part of and play in, wouldn't it, guys? But shit! You and your friends probably refunded the game, and if you didn't refund the game, you and your friends would probably have a hard time getting people together because they don't know if they have the game in the region anymore. This, of course, comes on the back of news that Dad of War Ragnarok is going to require people for the PC port to have a PSN account, further demonstrating that Sony doesn't understand their business decisions. But hell goddamn you, Shams Jarrani, and the original CEO himself, they're the Polish, so I need to make sure that I say this correctly. Johan Pilested, P-I-L-E.
Pronouncing that name is going to be hell.
S-T-D-T. But Johan understands this problem. You guys have enshitted our ability to connect to the fans. So we need to show them that the game's not dead in the water. We need to bring them in. We need to bring them back. We need to re-earn their trust by saying, listen, guys, you might not believe it, but we got a lot of great things going on here. Keep watching. You're going to love the way you play. And he's doing that to make the game better for everyone. He's trying to get hands-on directly. Because as the CEO, he just controls the fiscal, or rather, the fiduciary responsibility. As the COO, he can put his hand in Play-Doh, boys and girls. So anything that comes out now, from game updates and game announcements and game changes, balance changes, he directly crafted it. The man is in the kitchen. He is seasoning the meat. He is tenderizing it. He is making the pastries. He's got everybody in the back whipping up the roux for the stew. So when this man serves you the gumbo, the desserts, and the main course meal, make sure to say "Ikadakimasu" and remember that he did it for you. He didn't have to do this. He could have said, fuck it, I'm gonna still stay CEO and find somebody else to take my position, and I try to tell them what to do. But he said, no, I'm rolling my sleeves up first, bitch, get out my way. You ain't doing it right. Let me show you how to work this shit. And honestly, good for him. Good for him. Do you have opinions?
No, I think it shows initiative for you to realize that there's a problem and decide, I'll take a pay cut, fix it, figure it out, make sure the fans are happy, so we can actually make this work. Mm-hmm.
Because
good for him.
There's an incentive that will always be there as an argument that always lives eternally in the consumer's mind. Because it's not just the hard-won fans of the game. Those people were going to be the ones who were willing to do everything possible just to keep playing the game. They would have tolerated the PSN shit. They would have tolerated the fucking bullshit with the news stories. They would have tolerated the absolute content leeches attaching themselves to the game to try and monetize it before moving on, the culture vultures they are, which many of them did. They need to convince people like you, watching here, hearing the sound of our voices now. What's going to get you to come back through the doors of Helldivers 2? How do we get your trust back because of what was done to us by Sony? Because before, it wasn't confirmed that it was a Sony decision. And to his credit, he did know about the thing coming down the line, and he did not properly communicate and make clear that this was something that was put on hold, that it wasn't stopped, and because of what appeared to be a rug pull, he now has to clean the rug, roll that shit right the fuck back out, and on the side of each rug, free shit. Free shit. Free shit. Technically, it's not free. It's going to cost you a minimum of $40 to play the game, but free shit. Free shit. You ain't got to do nothing else. You just got to show up. And he's going to entertain and feed you. And maybe if you pay him an extra money, he'll suck you too. But the point is, he saw a problem, he took initiative with the issue, and he's getting on top of the problem. Now, the whole stuff with the CMs and the shit like that, we're going to have to accept that whatever decision has been made there, I think there's only been one firing. The people that we perceive to have been the problem in this situation, namely the Baskinator, probably one of the worst ones, especially when it came to political shit, speaking on behalf of the people. We're just going to have to let that be in the hands of the new CEO and whoever is a part of that lead team, and we'll have to trust them, which in my case is now 3 people. It's the new CEO, Shams Jorjani. Why do you guys have such weird names in Europe? Shams Jorjani or
European
Jorjani?
names are the fucking worst sometimes, dog.
It's crazy, bro. Shams Jorjani. I'm calling you Jorge. In the hands of Shams Jorge.
Let's go, Jorge!
The lead CM, Twinbeard, and now Johan. It is in their hands, these 3 men, the triumvirate, the triune, to solve the problems of Helldivers 2. Now, there is a hidden third branch, and that's viewers like you. You have to be willing to give them the olive branch. They can put their hands out for the olive branch, but you have to deliver it to their hands. You have to give them a little bit of your trust. Not a whole bit, not a lot. You can still have 1 foot outside the door. Just crack the door open and put your head inside. Give them a chance. See what they're cooking up. That's all you gotta do. I think, and I hope, that he does well. And in the future, who knows? If the show becomes larger and bigger, we could be able to talk to the man himself. The men themselves. And get their words directly from their mouths. You heard it here first. And if you didn't, fuck whoever told you before. I told you better. Let's move on to the next topic, shall we?
The first main thing on the list is this came across my desk via Mutahar, aka Some Ordinary Gamers, and I called it Deep Web Drug Runner Fucks Himself. That's what I called it.
That's certainly the way to put it, because not only did he outright say, "Yeah, this is what I'm doing to you," he did it so blatantly that he fucked himself on it.
Give him a second.
We're gonna go into that in detail because I watched the video. I got the receipts. I'll go over it. So, who is this drug runner from the deep web, and how did he fuck himself? Well, the who is 23-year-old Rui Xianglin, aka Pharaoh or Pharaoh. Was the owner of a deep web offshoot of the Silk Road, I guess you could call it, Incognito Market. And he was arrested recently at JFK Airport by the National Homeland Security for selling more than $100 million in illegal narcotics worldwide via the interwebs, i.e. heroin, cocaine, meth, LSD, misbranded prescription meds, and the list goes on. So you might be asking, what is Incognito Market? Well, it is a black market website run through an off-branded browser, aka the dark web, meaning you can't access kind of shit through Brave or Opera or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. You can't touch any of that. You have to find these very specific kind of browsers. I think one of them is Tor?
Yes, Tor.
Tor is one of them, yeah.
Tor, yes.
Yeah, I don't remember the other one.
I don't know what the other one is either. And what it basically does is it utilizes cryptocurrency to make transactions via the internet with back rooms kind of locations that they send these things to and weird drug runner stuff. It's extremely complicated, but though it's complicated, apparently it had over 200,000 customers that utilized it. And that's where he fucked himself. He thought he could fuck around and find out with over 200,000 customers. Not realizing that, oh shit, some of these might be with the cartel. Oh shit, some of these might be with gangs. Oh shit, some of these might be fucking mafia guys. He didn't know. So this first came to the attention of people through it's another deep web version of Reddit called
Dread?
What's it called?
Dread/Onions.
Ah, I see.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you were talking about Dread.
That comes next. Somebody by the name of Hug Bunter, the E in Bunter is the 3, posts a message that says incognito market scam confirmed, do not deposit. And says, I can confirm it is an exit scam, avoid at all costs. I've made a post detailing it over on Dread, which is also another version of Deep Web Reddit. Make sure to spread the warning wherever possible. And over on this Dread website, Deep Web Reddit.
Which is literally just Darknet Reddit.
Yeah. He posts, unfortunately, I can 100% confirm the exit scam. It is well known that Incognito purchased Darknet Live, and previously I have mentioned to Pharaoh that if and when he decides to shut down, it would be great if he could hand over the domain in the process to ensure it isn't used maliciously. I've been talking to him back and forth the past few hours and got to the point where I told him a warning is going live, to which his response was to try and bribe me to take Dread down or wipe all posts regarding Incognito. In return, he will hand over DNL. Big mistake. Big mistake. He, of all people, should know I can't be bought and I won't hesitate to confirm the exit. Posts another link. It would have been good for everyone if DNL could have been passed into good hands, and my warning here will not make any difference to funds already lost to Incognito. But hopefully this will be enough now to try and ensure users stay clear and avoid losing more. That was the start of it. He then decides he's going to be a dumbass and post on the vendor side of the website this little gem of a thing. I might be botching some of it because the image is a little bit cut out. All, props to Mutahar for these pictures because these are what I screen capped. Expecting to hear the last of us yet. We got one final little nasty surprise for y'all. We've accumulated a list of private messages, transaction info, and order details over the years. You'll be surprised at the number of people that relied on our auto-encrypt functionality. And by the way, your messages and transaction IDs were never actually deleted after the expiry ... Surprise, surprise! Anyway, if anything were to leak to law enforcement, I guess nobody ever slipped up. We'll be publishing the entire dump of 557,000 orders and 862,000 crypto transaction IDs at the end of May. Whether or not you customers' info is on that list is totally up to you. And yes, this is an extortion. As for the buyers, we'll be opening up a whitelist portal for them to remove their records and as well in a few weeks. Thank you all for doing business with Incognito Market.
That smells like jail.
Yeah, that smells like somebody gonna get that booty hole. Sounds like somebody gonna get that booty hole and real good in prison.
Like,
all I'm saying is,
you better pray.
All I'm saying is, Dank.
Yeah.
Put a video out for Booty Warrior at a perfect time.
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't go to jail, he needs to pray that nobody in the dark web has enough interest and enough money to send him to a black room.
He basically got lucky by getting caught by the feds.
Who's ready to see IRL Welcome to the Internet 3 starring this dumbass?
Yo.
It's so over.
He got lucky because it's believed that he was already in the crosshairs of law enforcement in 2022 because feds found his website through I2P filters.
Mm-hmm.
And that's explained a little bit more by same guy, Hugbunter, who posted this little message. Holy fuck, the downvoters you're getting on some of these comments are crazy. Let's clarify some things here. Pharaoh was in control of the market up until shortly before his arrest. Pharaoh's exit scam Pharaoh exit scammed and planned to from the beginning. That was just written really weird. The reason he chose to at this time was because he had NFTs stolen and his wallet drained. So he lost all money he had invested and cut his losses by taking all funds now and attempted to extort vendors and buyers to gain more funds on top of that. He's the only person I have ever wished this on. He truly deserved this and was a piece of shit. Law enforcement discovered the incognito market servers in 2022. I think it's likely that they were identified through the I2P Bloom filter exploit based on the timing, but it could be anything, so that is just my speculation. They took images of the server, so had copies of the market data from 2022 onwards. They didn't seize the servers, like in other cases, until they had identified the admin. He was on borrowed time, similarly to the Wall Street market admins, and the feds have only made a move following his exit. He's in the US and tried to flee after the servers were seized, where he was promptly arrested at the airport. The feds weren't operating a honeypot, they weren't in control of the market, and they definitely didn't stage an exit scam and extortion of users. Fuck, I lost some brain cells reading some of these comments in here. Stop imagining scenarios, especially such ridiculous ones, and look at the facts and listen to the people who oversee these things. Now, do you want to know what I speculate as well?
Alright.
What you got?
My speculation is that he also decided to do this because his job was in question. Do you want to know what his job was, ladies and gentlemen?
Was he a rogue fed?
Multi-fed.
He was an IT diplomatic specialist, per his LinkedIn, with Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Holy words! He was a foreign fed!
He was glowing like shit. And they probably saw those neon lights from miles away and went, oh, get his ass.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Pound this motherfucker now.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the jury, please never be so stupid as to become a glowy. Carl, what's the difference? If you do your job, and you're just known to be some type of person with a particular viewpoint that makes you a fed, if you are the kind of person that goes out of your way to become the corrupt individual that we hate in our establishment of media and governance, that makes you a fucking glowy. To do so as a foreign glowy, fucking with the money of people in multiple countries, puts you on so many hit lists. The actual unironic, unofficial Hitman license game that will be made of what happened to you will make people think, man, who was the writer that thought of this story? Who thought of trying to torture a person with a car battery connected to the pincers of a metallic tongue to try and roast a man's balls like they were doing a Swedish dunk of meatballs? Who thought this up?
They was coming from IKEA with them Swedish meatballs.
Shit, you might have been one of those kids. You would have been like one of those kids that was supposedly being sold through IKEA furnishing holdings for like $50,000 things. Somebody would just found your head inside of a box and be like, "Damn, crazy! IKEA's getting really weird with these Halloween ideas." Man, that's retarded. That was retarded. You deserve to go to jail.
Yup. He got bitter because his shit got stolen, and he could smell that people were on his trail. Ooh. Ooh.
When you fuck around with the dark web, you just have to accept that what happens to you happens to you. It's like playing in a full loop. It is the full loop PvP server of the real world. When you hear private security and offensive market specialists like Thor, Pirate Software, or me, a defensive expert, tell you about an open world, PvP-enabled environment where you should always be secure and safe about your data, the dark web is not like what you would have expected from something like the 1997 6 thriller The Net, starring Sandra Bullock and a couple of other people, where a person puts in a backside key cipher that gives them access to a certain kind of website with a hacking tool. It's less like that. It's more like you need to have a filter that allows you to go into this unprotected subroutine of the internet, but you still need to have the understanding of how to operate it. It's like IRC with a couple more extra steps. But even then, in this environment, the rules of honor amongst thieves very much is in effect. Listen, you're doing illegal shit, and maybe the illegal thing you're doing is you're looking up snuff films. I don't care. I'm just pulling examples off the top of my head. Do not be rude. Do not look them in the eye, and if they do, and they look you in the eye, give them a firm handshake, and just give them a little squeeze on the end. Be respectful, and know that you're in danger at all times. And be nice. Don't be overly nice, but be nice. Man who's holding... If you were to walk up to a man who had a gun holster and he's like, "Hey, little boy, my shoelaces untied. Can you please bend over and tie my shoe?" And you see a person behind him who looks like even bigger and burlier than him. He's like, and my zipper's down. You mind zipping me up real quick? I'm gonna tie that motherfucker's shoe. I'm gonna spit shine it too, and I'm gonna give him a zip. And like, you want me to redo your belt buckle too? Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. No problem, sir. What would you say their name was? Big Dick Matumbo? Goddamn, Matumbo. You sure do wear a big toe. Where'd you buy this suit from? That's so nice. Cause you know what's gonna happen to me? Getting my ass molested. That's what. Cause I don't want to get my ass molested, and I don't want Big Macumbo to send 19 motherfuckers to my house to molest my butt either. Cause they'll take turns. Carl's not made for being the caboose of a train. No, sir. I'm gonna know exactly what my job is. And my job is to blaze them nuts and to shine that women. Absolutely. And that's just normal interactions. The dark web?
That's just the usual shit.
The dark web, nigga? I am paranoid enough being an insomniac. I don't need to literally live Welcome to the Internet IRL in my house.
Speaking of paranoia, should we talk about a particular list that had you a little bit paranoid for a hot second till you found out you wasn't on it?
I mean, in my defense, I wasn't paranoid. I was just like, can I see it? I want to know if I'm on it. In which case...
Oh no, what'd you do? Why did you put on the Epstein list, brother?
Wait.
No.
The question, I will say this again, the actual question you should be asking, because it's Carl, what didn't he fucking do?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point, honestly.
Honestly.
It's Carl.
It's a really good point. I get into a lot of shit. Sometimes on purpose. However, the list in question is actually the hit list. Is Alyssa McClunty. The woman decided she wanted to personally post her L's publicly, and she decided to go onto the internet and write about a list of people. Now, what you're saying here is exactly the common sense of what a journalist does when they do research, air quote. Now, what you're saying here is a bunch of blue links, and these blue links are YouTube links to videos of people that have made content that she deems are the targets that criticize herself too much. Alyssa McClunty, of course, being the spicy Italian Latina, depending on who she's lying to that week, on whose podcast she's on, who has decided to make herself into the belle du jour, that's French for the woman of the day, that will talk endlessly about the incels, the chuds, the Nazis, because being an incel, chud, and Nazi is being a married man that gives good head, or being a married woman who gives good head, or being, I don't even know what the fuck to call you anymore, manho who gives good head and is good with his hands.
Hey man, do that shit though.
But this is a list of all the YouTubers, I would say larger level, nerd-centered media critics that have made videos on her, specifically. And this specific list is collated into these people here. Column 1 that you can see there is supposed to be Hypnotic, found at Real Hypnotic. This is, of course, from DB Wild, who compiled it themselves and broke it down by column to column. Smash JT, Polish Productions, Vara Dark of Dark Titan Productions, Actrius, Ryan Roger of Reality Based, obviously Geeks and Gamers, which is ran by D-Day Cobra Jeremy, not to be confused with Quarter Pounder Jeremy. Worlds of Paradise, ran by Leon at Bolt the Word, Cinder Shadow, Slotham, where the 5 stands in for the S, Minimal Effort Gaming, John Trent of the Trent Report, Angry Badger, and I believe that's Comet Pro John Del Araz. All of these individuals are YouTubers who have covered the topic of Alyssa McConaughey at some point or another. I myself have also covered it because she has inserted herself into the culture war zeitgeist, as it were, to try and get news for herself and glaze for herself for no other purpose than what everyone has suspected is an attempt to pivot her eventual departure from Kotaku into a left-wing breadtuber adjacent political-focused career. She's not a very smart woman, in my opinion, because going back to this fucking list, girl, who the fuck uses Excel like this?
Okay, I will say, after seeing this list, the spreadsheet office to me is fucking crumbling.
Yeah, the admin assistant in me is like, what is this nonsense?
Now, to compare this and give you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, which you're seeing on the screen as a replacement, this is an Excel list that I put together for a game called Path of Exile. Can you see the difference as I zoom it out for you? Can you see how it's nicely labeled, explains itself with pictures and data, has it collated in such a way that it is legible and actually looks like something a human would use, compared to this fucking shit?
I mean, I would still have some critiques for yours, but...
Look, it worked at the time. I was doing this in between runs. It was all about this needs to work, and I can read my own handwriting. But literally, night, day, night, day, night, day. This is technically hard data. It's my job to explain this to other people. But night, day, night, day. What the fuck are we doing here, Alyssa? Did nobody teach you how to use Microsoft Excel? But of course, let's get to the thing that she decided to do after she was called out about this. She went to the account who had exposed it, of course, master of the TDS, fan of the channel, and decided to tell them, are their names there? Are those photos? Those are videos about me. Is it illegal to collect them? The post was removed because the list is incomplete. Stop stalking my feed from alternate accounts and tagging people to harass me. So let me see if I'm understanding you. The kind of list that people make matters if they are harassing people or not. Is that correct? Because, of course, all of us should remember that there have been multiple examples that have been provided that it is acceptable to harass people with a list if they are harassing us about the correct political things. Of course, this is the Wizard game, Hogwarts Legacy. This, of course, is people who don't put in their support to the watermelon cause. For those of you who don't understand, watermelon is what we're calling people who constantly use the Palestinian flag for political reasons. It looks like a watermelon rind. It is people harassing you for having the wrong political opinion and using it to then glaze themselves to act as though they will virtue signal for having the correct opinion on Twitter.com and every other fucking thing that they deserve to say that it's about. It is a lie. It is a lie. It is a lie, Alyssa. You want to harass people, but you don't want to be harassed. It is like what I said when I made my community post from a few weeks ago, where I looked into this myself and said, and I quote, because I'll go to it, remember, Alyssa, you don't get to control how you're represented. You can't block the world while controlling the means of communication. This, of course, being a reply directly made about how she was trying to harass the Farm Folk CEO, taking his words out of context and using it to try and push her own propaganda and her own political agenda, and not doing her actual job of reporting the fucking news. This is what I meant when I said that, and it's great that it came up here again, because it gives me an example to demonstrate my point. You cannot behave like this on the internet. You cannot act like a victim in search of an effigy to pray to then glaze yourself as a victim hero, while also being a crybaby. Either you're going to do your job, or you're going to try to make money dishonestly. Pick one. You don't get to do both. You don't get to say that you're being harassed and then harass people and say you're doing real news journalism. Because Criticism is not harassment or incitement. If you don't like what people are saying about you, change what you're doing or stop doing it. If you're not going to change what you're doing or stop doing it because of any amount of social pressure, then that's fine. But don't sit there and then say, you're not allowed to criticize me. The equivocation of this is in public. Someone is trying to stab you with a knife or steal your money, and you catch them in the middle of the act. You catch them by your hand. You say, put it back, thief! If you don't like me stealing it, stop looking at me! Oh, really? I'm supposed to just go I'm supposed to go temporarily blind? Oh no! I'm being robbed by an invisible MB queer shadow! Somebody who's gay, trans, and/or non-binary! Help me! Is that what we do? Is that what we do now? Do we have to get the pass from everyone to be able to tell you to stop being a fucking retard on the internet? I don't think I should. But if I got to, I'm giving everybody a retard pass. You get a retard pass, you get a retard pass, you get a retard pass, you get a retard pass. They don't need the retard passes. Both Horror and Bach will have lifetime membership supplies. And they can give all of you official passes as well.
I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I'm neurodivergent, so I get the pass anyway.
Yup. Same here.
Like, it's ridiculous on the head of it. But of course, this is a ridiculous person. We can't expect her to be taken seriously and to consider how her actions are to be had. Because if what you want me to do, as Fatal Crest says, is you want me to let go of your hand and drop my wallet into the invisible thief's hands, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Because you see, in the world of Alyssa McConaughey, I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember that show, Alex Mack's World? Or The Secret World of Alex Mack? About a girl who gets superpowers from, I think it was a toxic sludge dump? It was on Nickelodeon in, like, the 90s. In Alyssa McConaughey's Secret World, as well as in the eyes of many of these kinds of, political activists who pretend to be journalists. In their world, if I block you on Twitter, you stop existing. This, of course, is why, when 2016 happened and Hillary lost the general election for president, she said, I'm being attacked by deplorables, all of the people who voted for Trump, evil octoroon Nazis, all of them evil bigots, rude raccoons and trash pandas. I can't even see, who even are these people? Where do they live? You have two choices if you decide to live your world and live your life as though if you block somebody on Twitter, they stopped existing as a person. Except that you're going to be fighting against never-ending shadows, or step outside of your safe space, get out of your hug box, and step out of your hyperbolic echo chamber, and accept that I have power leveled above you, that our arguments are stronger than yours, our finishing attacks of random critical thinking skills and logical arguments are the spirit bomb that will break you, Super Boo. Except that you can't lie to the world and say they're only against you because they're evil Nazi chuds. And maybe say, you know what? They aren't a chud. They're a married man or a married woman, or they're a professional content creator who has a bigger audience than mine. And my opinion here isn't very good, and it's not very honest, and it's not presented to be honest. And I have to accept that they're just criticizing me. And take the L and learn from it. It's to benefit you. It'll make your career better.
What a wonderful pep talk, Mr. Satan.
well, I do believe I taught Boo everything he knows.
I hate that's a good fucking impression, god damn it.
Y'all motherfuckers keep forgetting I'm a voice actor.
The only thing I can do is like a deep voice. I can't do impressions like that. Shout out to my lead dev though, who could do what's his name? The dude who does Kronk really fucking well.
I really need to get my husband to record him doing his boo giggle. It is the funniest thing on the planet when he does it.
Let's do his fucking Patrick Warburton, which is funniest shit in the world sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'm almost there with my Vegeta, but unfortunately I have to always stir it off by saying something that involves the word Saiyan Pride. It's not very good yet, but the point still stands. Yeah, the point still stands. She continues to be a bad journalist, and everywhere she goes, she continues to collect criticism that then leads her to block the world. Ironically, in the same way as Steve Shives, for those of you who remember, or Boulder Boy, Matt Jarbo, and any other person who has retarded takes that can't handle criticism. Kind of like the person who's coming up in our main segment. And they're choosing to block the world and pretending they did nothing wrong. They just had small little criticisms, and the chuds came and harassed them. They harassed them by saying she's not a very good journalist and she should probably stop harassing people on the internet and justifying the doxing of individuals. How dare they? How dare they?
How dare they? I just want to write shitty articles. If I can't write shitty articles, I'm gonna go sell my body. I don't want to write game guides.
How dare you, single player Carl? Because of you, I'm gonna have to suck this rancid smegma penis.
And of course, you take it way too far.
Right.
Anyways.
Look, she takes it too far every day.
Speaking of people who should lose their job,
all I gotta say on that is, hey, if that's what it takes, she can get filtered. Get filtered! But moving on to filtering.
if we're talking about losing the jobs in journalism, or quote unquote journalism for this matter, YouTubers really gotta stop doing this fucking bullshit I've been seeing.
What would that mean?
Let's put it the way Shu puts it. Because she dropped a video on this motherfucker too today. Motherfuckers be talking way too much lately. Motherfuckers be talking way too much shit. And they cry when they get clapped. Specifically, this one.
I'm into that.
Well, what? What, you meant to what?
I said.
You say you're into that? Oh.
Okay. You breaking up in and out, so I can't tell sometimes.
Okay.
But this particular piece of shit, we've seen all over the fucking timeline. All over it. In praise of shadows. Now, this one hits a little bit close to me on multiple fronts, because guess what I do outside of this, ladies and gentlemen? I am a horror-based YouTuber. Yes, indeed. That is my bread and butter on my channel. So I have a little bit of issue with this particular piece of shit. Who is in praise of shadow? Well, he apparently is a very political-based horror YouTuber who covers various videos and movies. And he likes to throw his very, very, very quote-unquote white privileged, I'm gonna call it that because he is a white boy, privileged takes on movies. One in particular is partially the genesis of his whole bitch fit here. Cause see, Bitch Tits decided he was gonna post a Hills Have Eyes movie review in January 2022, stating that the allegory of the protagonists and the inbred cannibals is white people going after indigenous and black folk.
That's crazy.
And the reason why the protagonists are interrogated is because they're colonizing them and they want them to die. What? Can somebody explain that? Can someone explain me how you would get that from that particular movie?
You start by being a bread tuber, and then you see every single minority as a allegory for a problem, and every allegory of a problem standing in for a minority. And then you just throw it in the oven, and then your house blows up.
Yes. So, apparently after he posted this, he's had an entire bitch fit where he's been concocting his big plan to destroy Wendigoon.
And pray tell, why did he decide to start this plan?
Oh boy, and he's a Wendigoon. To the point, fucking follow on Twitter. He decided he's gonna make a video hit piece He's gonna be I Killed Internet Historian 2.0. But guess what? It didn't work. Everybody caught his ass out. Everybody figured him out. And here is what he said in his now deleted video about Wendigoon. I'm gonna just put these in the bullet points. Huh?
You're gonna paraphrase it?
Yes, I'm gonna paraphrase it and use bullet points in order to get through it, because this video no longer exists and we only have the Wendigoon part / what's been posted with other YouTubers that have covered this.
Yeah, so, we have a reaction. We have exactly the Wendigoon clip now.
Yeah. So, in this particular video, he states this all started when this Hills Have Eyes review was posted in January 2022. He claims that people jumped to conclusions about the video and attacked him. Put a pin in that, because this is gonna come back very soon, and it's gonna be ironic. He cries about his content not being touched enough after this, and not getting as many views as it did with prior videos. Okay. I'm gonna cry because my views went from 100K a video to 50K a video. I only made $500 in ad revenue this month. I can't live on that. Get a job. Get a job. And to my point earlier, I can't comprehend why me saying the protagonists of this movie are white colonists trying to enslave the inbred allegory for Native Americans, African Americans, pissed people off. But why? How can... I'm the white savior. I'm standing up for you. I know what you want. Praise me. It's not how that works. He then decides he's gonna read off tweets or comments to him for 10 minutes straight and snarkily chuckle about how fucking dumb he is. And in this 10 minutes, every time he reads these, he chuckles as if it doesn't hurt him, but you can tell by the way he does it, he is so unabashedly butthurt. It is pitiful. And then, to show just how thin-skinned this motherfucker is, he proceeds to cry about how he stumbled upon a thread of his mutuals, calling him stupid and an idiot for this particular video. And this hurt his little bitty fifis. Owie, they called me stupid. They called me dumb. They called me an idiot. Ooh. Good God. And then this as a cherry on top of the cake, he says, don't bully me because I'm unoriginal. No bully. I'm just saying what other people have already said. You can't bully me for things that are already true. We're gonna bully you for copying and pasting and being an absolute dumbass. With that in mind, we then go to the ending 30 minutes of this video. Keep in mind, this was supposed to be a video about conservatives in horror movies.
And it has just evolved.
Yes, it was basically a bait and switch for a hit piece on Wendigoon specifically, because he's butthurt about Wendigoon. Why is he butthurt? Let's be honest. I can give you the bullet points, and I'm gonna give you the bullet points at why he says he's upset. But we all know the reason is because Wendigoon is actually good at what he does. He's a genuinely nice guy that people actually want to hear from. And he makes a lot of money doing it.
I'd say it's probably more simple than that. It's probably that he doesn't like him because he reminds him of the success that he wants to have.
No. No, he doesn't like him because he thinks he's got a silver spoon in his mouth, and he's jealous. Pure and simple.
Yeah, even simpler than that.
That's my theory, and that's the theory of the other YouTubers that have responded to this, all of which that I've seen specifically were called out in this video. So the ending 30 minutes of this was his explanation of why he hates Wendigoon and why everybody should hate Wendigoon. Yes, the very first bullet point he brings up is because he is a Christian, openly Christian man. I don't care. He doesn't shove it down everybody's throats. He mentions it, he talks about it, but he doesn't force you to believe it. So I don't care.
It is a bullet point, not the central point.
Yes. He doesn't like him because he's rich. Yeah, he worked his ass off and he makes good content. He's gonna be making money off of it. Unlike you. 3. Because he allegedly came from a rich family. He didn't. Came from a rich family and was a millionaire before he was 20 years old. He has no lived experience, and therefore he doesn't know the struggle.
That feels like, in all honesty, a projection.
It is. He's literally angry and states multiple times that because Wendigoon is rich, he shouldn't be listened to because he doesn't know the struggle, and because he doesn't know the struggle, he can't understand actual art. Bullshit point. You do not need to be poor and destitute to understand the beauty of art or to be able to interpret it. That's not how that works.
That's the most fart huffy shit I've ever fucking heard.
It is so fart huffy.
Exactly.
Some of the shit he says is bananas. And what bothers me is that it's even been pointed out by Shoe on Head and multiple other YouTubers. Wendigoon has specifically stated he did not grow up wealthy. He specifically has talked about how his father has lost everything. How they've been poor while he was growing up. But that doesn't matter because he's wealthy now, so we're just gonna discard all of that, yeah? Cool. Cry more.
I believe it was also wealthy and Christian because he married his wife and...
Christian was the first point.
I see.
Yeah, that was
Christian was the very first point. That's what everybody has a problem with. Yes, he is.
That's what everyone to this day has a problem with.
Yeah. So, once he lays out all of those things, he then goes into the biggest point that he's got. Guilt by association. You see, this guy is the type of follower narc that whenever he meets you and ever he talks to you, he wants to see your last 7 years of Twitter posts, last 7 years or more of Discord history, and he wants to see your follower list. He's that kind of guy. He's that kind of dude.
Well,
first person he picks out... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Probably one of the most annoying kind of people. It's like, yes, certainly, yeah. I must know every single one of these porn artists that I'm friends with. Yes, sir. You should probably dig into their history and see what kind of porn they make. You wouldn't want to support somebody who's potentially a Nazi, so that you can flashbang yourself with all that porn that they make. That's something you need to do. But yeah, tell us what he does.
Right. So, he goes into the guilt by association and starts it off with the fact that at one point, Wendigoon followed Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, if you don't know Wendigoon, he is pro-Second Amendment. He is as American as you can get it when it comes to that. He likes his firearms. He shows a lot of the firearms that he utilizes. He's also a true crime... He covers true crime on his channel. Why wouldn't he follow the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Does 2 + 2 not equal fish? What? Okay. Next, he's friends and has worked with Internet Historian. We all know one of the reasons why Internet Historian is hated. We all know about that, and we all know about the person who got his shit kicked in for going over that. But he also doesn't like Internet Historian because Internet Historian made the joke that his birthday is on 4/20. Does anybody know why that is an important date to these kind of people? Anyone want to take a guess? No, it is not a weed joke.
I would be stumped.
No. Isn't that a certain someone's birthday?
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
The birthday of the boogeyman of all leftists. I mean, it's everybody's boogeyman. He's a terrible person.
The German leader.
Yes. He made it. My birthday is the same birthday as Adolf Hitler joke.
Respected art critic and art creator Adolf Hitler, who had a very more well-respected military career.
Yes.
Truly.
To say it out loud, we do not like Hitler. Thank you.
Truly, his masterpiece of the Jackson Pollen Painting did not compare to his work of 1945. Truly a masterpiece that only the high and gaseous can really get.
Carl, you're taking it too far. Reel it in.
He took it too far, okay?
Reel it in.
For those of you, I'm sorry. For those of you not understanding, that was a joke. Unlike this guy's career.
Are all jokes.
You're gonna get clipped on that one,
These
brother.
are all jokes.
You did it yourself. Ay, Dios mío.
He then calls out one that a creator that I do have a lot of respect for, Donut Operator. If y'all aren't aware, Donut Operator is a former cop who covers police body cam footage.
Mm-hmm.
That apparently is a problem. And because he's a former police, he's also considered a gun-crazed, very far-right YouTuber. Not sure where you got that one.
You know who else is a far-right crazed gun-toting YouTuber?
Me?
Who?
Umpaville.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. There's a whole list, and I'm going in order.
Oh, you're going in order. My bad. I thought we were jumping from one
I'm going in order with the notes. I'm going in order of weight of shots fired. So, because he's a former cop that reviews police body cam footage and is a gun-crazed, very far-right YouTuber, he is, quote, pro-state, pro-cop, pro-guns, and pro-death to people who don't share his beliefs and propaganda. What is this whole video about again, IPOS?
Conservative movies?
Right. But you want to know what the funniest thing he points out with this particular thing is?
Nah, tell me.
His example of this is pulling up a video of Donut Operator reviewing body cam footage of a fucking PDF file being shot. And saying, oh no, that's
There's
bad.
a couple of things that could be said here.
Oh yeah. There are a lot of questionable things this guy says and uses as some sort of gotcha that more or less is a self-tell. He's snitching on himself with these. Yeah. The next person he goes after is somebody else that I follow, Nick Crowley. And apparently he thinks it's wrong to cover true crime stories and talk about the macabre things that have been caught on camera. Because it's talking about the moments before somebody dies.
And this is a horror content creator?
Yes. Because apparently horror movies are about love and peace. He literally says this. And he goes after true crime YouTubers.
He was saying the love of cutting your victims to pieces, right?
We are, by the way, 3 or 4 in, and already you could tell he's lost the fucking plot.
He gets absolutely fucking batshit crazy very soon.
Oh, I'm fully aware. I watched the video and read the notes. It goes way farther.
When I start reading off his literal word-for-word quotes from this video, you're gonna lose your shit. His next victim on this list is Shoe-on-Head, who I've mentioned, whom he calls a conservative masquerading as a leftist, and is bad because she makes lazy anti-woke content about SJWs. Okay. He also goes after Turkey Tom, and it's not in notes because it wasn't in the clips that I was able to find.
Yes.
He apparently goes after Turkey Tom as well, because Turkey Tom is, granted, he makes very edgy jokes. I'm aware of this. I followed him for a while. He's part of the commentary community. I was in there for a while. I'm aware of him. But his biggest point out is him saying the N-word when he was a teenager. 7 years ago.
Was he a content creator when it happened?
I don't think so.
Was he on the live stream?
No, it was in Discord.
So why the fuck would I care?
Exactly. And
then of course
why does it matter?
And then of course on the case of Shoe-on-Head, while many of us could have things to criticize June for, as she was a part of the Skeptosphere, it's a really hard reach to say she's bad because she makes anti-woke things against people she calls SJWs. My man, do you not remember what happened with the Skeptosphere before many of them became authoritarians and joined the left wing because they were what was popular and was making money? Yep. And even then, I feel like he would then say, well, she's bad because her husband, I believe they're married now, Eudaimania, the guy who was known for the Crash Pope profile picture, under his handle, which I think he temporarily accidentally changed as he was getting his check mark, so he'll have to get that back at some point. That whole thing, I feel like he would still attack her by saying, but you used to be a leftist, but you were just pretending, and now you're married to him and act like a trad wife. But who cares? He's not a content creator.
The next person he points out in, I will say that he does the cheapest shit when he calls out this next person. Brandon Buckingham who also does a lot of like the horror related content. He calls him a gun YouTuber. See where a lot of these lines are being made. If you own guns and you're pro Second Amendment, you're a fucking Nazi and you need to be punished. And even better, he uses a Sneeko allegation to say that Brandon Buckingham has threatened to grape somebody. RedTuber uses debunked allegation from Sneeko. Does not fact check it.
Because we're now.
I don't know about you. I wouldn't take things from the guy who doesn't know what his viewpoints are, so he has to get them from whomever it is he's copying that week. I don't know. I don't think
I wouldn't take it. Yeah. I wouldn't take it from the guy who is raging far right guy, who had to issue a public statement because he had a defamation case on his hands from that allegation.
Yeah, that's not
Boy, you stupid.
That's not really smart.
You want to see everybody's Discord history, but you can't take 2 seconds to look into an allegation.
Another case of bad journalism. It seems to be running theme.
On top of that, the cherry on top of the shit sundae is while he's talking about this, he has a picture that Brandon Buckingham posted of him and his grandfather just after his grandfather had a serious brain injury, with Wendigoon underneath it, basically wishing him well and hoping that he has a speedy recovery. Of the hours of footage that those two have spent together, you couldn't have used any of that as a backdrop for this particular part of the video. You had to use the picture of Brandon and his grandfather, who is seriously in medical trouble. So not only is he dumb, but he has no fucking empathy.
Very tasteless. Very tasteless. Lacking tact.
Extremely tasteless. Now to the mentioned Oompaville. Oomp! Oomp! Oompaville is also a gun-obsessed content creator. He's not. Who is bad because he took advantage of Nikocado Avocado and his very clear mental decline. If you know anything about Nikocado Avocado, that man is deliberate with everything that he does.
Yes.
He's, to quote him, he is 3 steps ahead of you.
Which is crazy because he's like 12 steps. He's 3 steps ahead of you and 12 plates on the table.
Yep. Oh, and on top of that, he's a problem because he made joke content that involved Andrew Tate.
This is kind of like when G2 Esports Chris had to be fired from his CEO position because he was in a picture with Andrew Tate. Like, this is really gay, bro. And I don't mean in the way in which they tried to say you shouldn't call things gay because it's bad, bro. No, this is pretty gay, bro. This is really gay. Get off this man's nuts. I don't think that's a problem. I think you have a lot of problems, but that's not a problem. You can have your disagreements and your dislikes of Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers, the super lover boys, the super trafficking bros. You can have whatever criticisms you want about Andrew and Tristan Tate. But if your criticisms become you're a bad person because you once did a skit with them, man, that's crazy. I wonder what would happen if I was to have you take a skit with SNL and show that you were willing to harass people. I wonder if they'd be okay with it. I wonder if they'd let you tell a joke the same way they let Elon Musk do that one joke about Wario in a courtroom. I don't know. I don't think you should be the one to talk about what kind of humor should be criticized, let alone associations. But that's just me.
Yeah. It's dumb. And yes, as ZNG says, the thing he specifically got on Oompa's case about was an interview he did with Tate before the human trafficking shit dropped.
Yes. So the worst part there is that now he's taking something that he has advantage of knowing through hindsight. He's saying, look at how bad a person you were. You supported this man. I didn't know he was doing it. This is something that literally happened at the same time, and I had no association with him afterwards. But you still talked to him. So that's crazy. So if I were a journalist and I did an interview with a warlord, I should be hung as a war crime because I dared to allow the war criminal to speak about his opinion in an all-access interview that was published for the knowledge of the people. So Katie Couric should be hung, Barbara Walters should be hung, Walter Cronkite should be hung, every single news journalist for every single organization should be hung, journalists should be hung, because there's plenty of stories that they cover that have horrible people involved with it. Shit, YouTubers should be hung. I should be hung, Horror should be hung, Baku's fine because he's not really a YouTuber. Other YouTubers should be hung, every person in the commentary community, every person who's ever made commentary, we should all get that hacked. We should all take an experience in the French-American fruit slicer. We should all take a ride on the French-American fruit slicer designed for humans because we once had a criticism of somebody. And we published hundreds of thousands of videos of hundreds of tens of thousands of hours of content about that. But we dared to give criticism about a patch notes for a video game, so I should be hung at the guillotine. That's crazy, bro. Do you have any opinions that you want to say to the poor people too?
Oh, he has very kind words to a lot of poor people specifically. But we'll move on to the last few people that he has a problem with. He takes issue with Mutahar. He takes issue with Mutahar for 2 reasons. One, because he argued against Andrew Tate being deplatformed. Granted, he was saying that you shouldn't be deplatformed for your speech. However, I do believe that Mutahar does think he needs to be deplatformed if he is indeed very much the human trafficker that he is being charged of being.
Uh-huh.
So that's moot. He's also evil because Kefo's video thumbnail is transphobic.
We already talked about that in episode 3.
But pause on that one. We take the pin out of the thing said earlier where people didn't actually watch his video. If you actually watched Mutahar's video, nothing about it is transphobic. You're taking it purely off of the thumbnail. And the thumbnail isn't transphobic. Hashtag justice for worm. Mm-hmm. Fuck you and your hypocritical ass. Penultimate person he talks about is Garand Thumb. I'm aware of Garand Thumb because I think my husband watches his videos, and he definitely is a gun YouTuber, if I'm not mistaken. All of his videos are reviewing different types of weaponry, and it's pretty cool. I enjoy it. But that isn't even brought up with this guy. What he does bring up is that he's supportive of the nuclear family and traditional family values, allegedly says anti-trans statements by calling people degenerates for living very hedonistic-based lifestyles.
Okay, what does that mean?
Meaning him saying that you should be not out there slinging your poon to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You're a degenerate. Okay, and he says that's a problem. Okay.
Okay. For a call for some choice, selective abstinence, some celibacy, and smart decision making. Did he also say that you should not be having sex out of wedlock?
Yes.
So
I believe so.
So basic, traditional, paternal, 1920s classical English common law standards of masculinity and responsibility. That is transphobic. Transphobia is when normal, sexual, healthy relationships and activities with safe sex and responsibility in mind. It's transphobic to be a normal human being. Everybody in the audience, how do you feel about being classified as right-wing? You are now right-wing. Something normal has been classified as right-wing, thus meaning the position doesn't exist, there is no middle, it is just the extremes. We are all right-wing. Clap in half! Okay.
Nice Matt Pat reference.
May he enjoy dadhood better than I'm going to enjoy dadhood. He's earned it.
Yep. The last person he calls out as a guilt by association friend of Wendigoon's is Brandon Herrera. We know that Brandon Herrera is a little more on the conservative side. Okay. But his problem is that he quote has made jokes that imply he is sympathetic with public shooters who killed leftists, unquote.
Okay. Here's a question.
He's collabed with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, okay.
He's gonna. It was a very big Second Amendment issue, and he's a gun YouTuber. Mm-hmm. But okay. And lastly, I'm gonna say this as in character of this guy as possible. Oh my God, he shot an MP40 in a video. The Nazis used MP40s in World War II. Oh my God, that must mean he's a Nazi.
Well, now I have a statement and a question. The statement is, did you know the Nazis breathed air too? In order to prevent everybody from becoming a Nazi in the world, we should all hold our breath until we expire from asphyxiation. You wouldn't want to be a Nazi now, would you, Praise the Shadows?
Right.
They also drank water too. Right. They also committed to homeostasis and mitosis and mitosis. So you shouldn't breathe, you shouldn't reproduce, and you should just die. Hashtag Drake Snark. In Minecraft. In V Rising. In League of Legends.
Yep.
But then my statement, or actually no, my question, when he says that, when he says that he's bad because of those things. For example, when he says that he's bad because he doesn't care about the people who have been horrifically losing their lives because of the actions they made before they immediately found out, right after they fucked around. Does he show the same logic towards leftists that are supportive of leftist violence against the people that were taken in it? Does he show the same thing for both sides? Does he have the same opinion of leftist people being sympathetic to leftist killers of the innocent and the right-wing killers that have murdered people who were left-leaning and or political of center, or even far-right themselves? Does he see the loss of life on both sides as a tragedy? I see. So he's a hypocrite.
I doubt it.
So he's a hypocrite.
I doubt it because some comments that he makes later.
Oh, really? What were the comments? I guess I'll find out.
Get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. After he does the shooting spree, if for lack of a better term, of going after a bunch of YouTuber associates and friendships of Wendigoons, he then calls him a blatant racist because of his very name. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm not gonna say it because I try to be respectful. I'm not gonna say the exact name, but there is a creature in Native American folklore that is not supposed to be spoken of because it will bring bad omens and bad, I guess, juju to your life. It is a sign of badness.
Not say it either.
I'm not gonna say it. I didn't say it when I could have covered it in the Cryptid Iceberg. I'm not gonna say it now. I try to be respectful, but I don't care because it's Wendigoon's name. That's it. I'm not saying the specific word. But because this can be seen as disrespectful to Native Americans, he thinks he's racist. However, there's a caveat. Wendigoon is, by Wendigoon's own account, Native by his grandfather. His grandfather was Native American, and he says that part of the culture and their stories were given to him as he was growing up through his. But in Praise of Shadows, quite literally, and I'm paraphrasing this because I'm not saying all the garbage shit he's word for word in this case, he literally says, unless you're on the reservation, you don't count as a Native American. Your bloodline does not count.
Well, Native Americans, you heard it here first. The one drop rule
That's what
does
he
not
implies.
apply. It's one drop and a land deed. Well, you heard of Native Americans. You better fuck, breed, and impregnate on your lands and birth them on your lands. And keep them white crackers out. Yes. I wonder if he'll like this happening everywhere. Maybe he will, until the door starts getting slammed in his face. I'm sorry, sir. You're not black, so you're not allowed to go to Popeyes. You're also not allowed to go to Hebet Swords. You're also not allowed to go to Foot Locker. Stay your ass out of GameStop. You're not allowed to go to a fighting game section of any particular store that sells electronic gaming paraphernalia and products. You are not allowed to go to concerts. You're not allowed to go to music festivals. You're certainly not allowed in the jazz club. Stay your bitch ass out. You're not allowed to the cookout. You're not allowed to the function. You're not allowed to the potluck. You're not allowed to the cassoulet. And you certainly better not do the cha-cha or electric slide, or we will break your Nico kneecaps. White people, do you have anything you want him to stop doing? No? Okay. I'm just saying, if we start using these rules, I don't think he'd like these rules. But that's just...
To go there.
Yeah.
There are quite a bit of things I can say, but
shit.
I'm not gonna.
But Latinos here ain't saying shit, dog.
I'm just saying. I don't think he thinks these things.
Well,
what
and
else did he
then,
do?
what's brilliant...
Oh, I mean, not on me, brother.
Shit. What else did we do?
But you know what's even more brilliant about this? He talks about how blatant. What, Carl?
Oh, I didn't say anything. Oh, the stream's lagging right now.
Carl? Oh, okay. But what's really funny, what's really funny about him saying this and using this as Wendigoon is racist is he's blatantly racist. Can I hear myself on the stream? Okay, yeah, I can. Okay, cool. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that I could still be heard on the stream. What's funny is that he calls Wendigoon out for being blatantly racist while subsequently being a blatant racist himself. And he does this by saying basically that anybody that lives in Appalachia is a white racist until they prove to you otherwise.
What a crazy idea.
They basically are... They are inbred, cannibalistic, racist fucks that should not be trusted and should be cannot be anything.
And
so you wanna say that Wendigoon is a blatant racist, but you're racist to your own people. You're racist to white people in general. What?
And he's the minority respecter?
What?
God damn, I'd hate to see the fucking minority hater if that's what minority respecters do.
Right. And and subsequently after that, he goes on to talk about where Wendigoon lives, because apparently they live in the same area. And he goes, because you grew up in a relatively wealthy area and I didn't, your opinion doesn't matter. You can't have any sort of credibility, and nothing you say should be taken correctly or taken as anything seriously because you didn't grow up in a poor neighborhood like me. Bitch, what? And you see why I'm saying that this entire thing is out of pure jealousy? This is why I have that theory. It's jealousy because Wendigoon is talented and is successful, and he's not. Exactly, Doc Glock. Remember when this video was supposed to be about bad conservative horror? Bait and switch. It was a complete bait and switch so he could try and hit piece Wendigoon, and he failed.
That's the worst kind of conservative movie, is the movie you live in real life. Ooh. Bro actually thinks he's the fucking character, and goddamn, what was that movie called? It was the one where they got superpowers from the alien rock. It was one that had Michael B. Jordan in it. Somebody in the audience knows.
I have no idea.
Somebody in the audience knows what I'm talking about. He unironically thinks that he's the one who's supposed to have gotten everything from that fucking situation. Oh my lord, that is so gay, bro. It's even gayer than what most people would think. Well, it's not gayer than fucking Kevin's bullshit, but it's almost as gay. But at least in her case, she did that shit willingly and then tried to lie about it. You had the audacity to bait and switch people to watch your shit. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
And speaking of audience, he does breaks another unwritten rule of the internet, especially with content creation. He utilizes the "you are responsible for what your audience does" argument. He cries and complains about people who claim to be fans of Wendigoon, calling him the F-slur after he dropped this video. Or cries about being called the F-slur by people who claim to be Wendigoon's followers in comment section. Curious. Here is the quote that he specifically says. Here's his full-blown quote. If you're a public figure who's being criticized publicly, and the only people who come to your defense are Nazis, then that can only be read as two ways. Either that you're sympathetic to their views, or that you're perfectly fine making money from them and are comfortable with their ideology being the backbone of your base. What?
I always had a problem with people who use that logic, because it's entirely possible that I don't know that they exist, and then of course the argument could then be, well, now you know they exist, so you're gonna let them be there? There is a lot of effort that goes into building something, and then the need to find out, hey, I gotta renovate this part of the building. Or, damn, I gotta destroy this thing and then rebuild it again. Or even destroy it and then cut it off and fix it. The amount of effort that these guys go through to effectively say, you should cut your leg off because your leg is a Nazi leg. And you don't want to be a Nazi, do you? Cut off your leg. It's kind of like that really famous audio meme that goes, my skin feels weird on my body. Doesn't your skin feel weird on your body? Then take it off. Take off your skin. And no, I don't, and I won't. Because on one hand, I don't trust what you define as Nazi. That's the first problem. I don't believe they're neo-Nazis. I don't believe they're members of the National Socialist Movement. You nasty socialist communist fuck. That's the first problem. Second problem, I'm comfortable with their ideology. Are you sure? Someone like me, who has a fake radio show called 148.8 The Coon. Sure, the reason why I mock them and their ideology, and literally the 14 words that they say and the dog whistle they use around it, I must be sympathetic to their plight, because I know what they say, and I'm mocking their ideology to the point where it's a literal fucking cake and show response. Okay, that's weird, that's crazy. But then also, I'm comfortable with making money from them and them being the backbone of my money. Sir, I'm a performer. If anybody puts $1 in the fucking hat, I'm going to say thank you. And yes, I'll probably say thank you to the Nazi too, but the way I say thank you is going to be a bemused, I don't know about that one though, like, thank you, and then go back to what I was doing, versus the glazing of their nuts that I would normally do when I meet people. Because I would like to go where I'm celebrated, not hated. But at the same time, if Nazis celebrate me, I am going to pull a Daryl Davis, sir and madam. I want to know why they like me. Because maybe they unironically like me in an ironic sense. And I'm not in a safe place. That would change my reaction, sure. But maybe they're like the people I used to work with at the factory. And they will say something that I could take as an insult, but I would rather take as a compliment. Something along the case of a spit take followed by, you know what, Carl? You're a credit to your race. Now, if these monkeys acted like you, it wouldn't be too bad. And at that point, I'd say, you know what? You're right. Not only because, again, I'm in the association of Nazis, air quote, but I would want to understand why. And who knows? By making them laugh and them being willing to give me their money, they called me up one day and say, you know what, Carl? I think I've been too mean to minorities. Do you have some minorities I can try to learn from and learn their cultures? And all before you know, this man's making fried chicken in his house. And he's doing the stanky lay with his wife at somebody's wedding. Small steps in changing the world does not begin by having a hardened heart. It starts by touching people's hearts and minds. You can't touch their hearts and minds. You can't make them laugh or care what you have to say. And if you're that far gone, that to you, he needs to cut off his leg in spite of his body, or worse, cut off his nose in spite of his face. Maybe you're worse than cooked. Maybe you're worse than burnt. I don't know what that would be, but you're worse than burnt carbon on a dinner pan. I don't think anybody can help you at that point. I don't think anybody is.
Something interesting.
What's the interesting thing?
The interesting thing that Doc says in chat. That tweet from him is funny because IPOS's video reminds me of James Somerton in all the worst ways. you want to read the image that's on your stream right now?
Oh yeah. Oh yes, of course. From Praise of Shadows from December 20th, 2023, around the time where I believe James Summerton was getting shit on by your favorite internet fucking retard. What was his fucking name? H Bomber guy. James Summerton saying the Patreon billing will resume in a wild way is a wild way to end that. Even if you were empathetic in the beginning of it, with how the story these weeks have been, he tanks it himself by the end. Honestly, it was just sad to watch and hard to finish. It wasn't an actual apology. Not that I would have thought it would be. He's clearly very unwell and evidently has been for a long time. I wouldn't want him to republish his own videos, and I'm kind of surprised he said something this early. He missed his one chance to make an actual statement. Man wrote his own obituary. How about that shit? He must be psychic.
Put a pin in that one. Put a pin in that one too. We'll get back to this later. We'll circle back to the irony of this later. Now, would y'all like to know what the straw that broke the camel's back and why this video was made to begin with was?
What?
Oh my god, Wendigoon followed me on Twitter!
That's crazy. You destroyed your
I'm
career
slow blinking because of how annoying
so shit I've seen in a minute.
You cut out there at the end. That's crazy. Oh,
yeah, that is crazy.
You destroyed your career because this man followed you on Twitter. That's wild.
His quote for the reasoning why this set him off is... I had whiplash so fast when I heard this. I had to listen to it like 4 times just to you had to get an actual taste of what level of absolute nutter butter insanity this guy is. He says when Wendigoon followed him, he followed him because, which means in my eyes, he 100% knew about what was happening because I did tweet about it several times. And then he followed me to let me know that he knew and that he was watching and that he intended to do nothing to stop it. What other motivation could he have had to follow me in that specific moment other than to be a method of quiet and deniable intimidation? What other way could that have been read from my perspective? I don't fucking know. Maybe because he saw one of your Slenderman movie reviews and liked it and then saw you in his "you should follow" page on Twitter? Because that's why you said he did it.
I saw him follow me on Twitter, so I decided to blow my career up. Man, this guy must have thought that shit was calculated, but he is horrible at math.
He literally spun himself into a schizophrenic rage, a schizophrenic tizzy, over a Twitter follow. I flabbergasted. Doesn't even begin to describe what I am after that.
That is just pure case of some classic old Twitter brain fried addled permanently online shit. That's what that is. That is the result of being permanently online. This man is playing chess by himself, and he somehow checkmated himself.
Yep.
Saw a lot of that during COVID, with people going crazy because, of course, this was an unprecedented case where the world was shut down.
Stir crazy.
A little bit of that stir craziness, plus that whole totalitarian martial law being declared in a bunch of places. Not all of it happening inside of the U.S. Some of it more happening in the penal colony, formerly known as Australia. But man, that man had some unironic insanity. And he did all that by himself. And nobody told him it. Nobody worm-tongued in his ear. Nobody Peter Bailished him. No one little-fingered him. He did it. He little-fingered himself. That sounds dirty when I say it. He little-fingered himself. And said, "He's coming to get you, Barbara. He's coming to get you. You need to blow up your YouTube income."
Yep. And the last cherry on top of that, this last gripe with why Wendigoon is such a bad person is that he's transphobic. And why does he say he's transphobic? Because he calls out Chris Chan on Twitter. Wendigoon is transphobic because Wendigoon thinks that trans people like Chris Chan give all of the trans community a bad name. He literally defends fucking Chris Chan to get at Wendigoon. What?
That's crazy. Like,
you not only defended a PDF file getting shot by the cops, you defend Chris Chan, who's done an untold number of despicable things. Not just to his mother.
Especially what he did to his mother. Not even gonna make a joke. I don't want to joke about that. This is real big the Kingsman ending scene vibe where Benito Mussolini and the other guy came together to celebrate the entering Adolf Hitler into the fold. This is really weird, bro. That's a really weird hill that you fought on, but it's okay. The hill was glassed, the earth was salted, and we paved it over, and we made a nice little monument with a perfectly crafted grave just for you. Get in.
Yep. His last piece of evidence that Wendigoon is transphobic and queerphobic is that he responded with, "What did I do to hurt you?" to the guy who made a joke sexuality scale where he put Wendigoon as a sub-bottom. Because the phrase, "What did I do to hurt you?" is apparently a clear attack on feminine queer people. Excuse me, what?
How? I'd like to hear the logic of how.
He doesn't get into it. He doesn't get that deep into it. That's literally me saying what his point was.
Okay.
He says that is an attack used on feminine queer people and therefore an attack on the LGBTQ.
But if everything that a person says like that is an attack on the big gay, couldn't everything that he has said about minorities, about media literacy, about critical thinking skills, about relationships, about the one-drop rule amongst minorities themselves, people he talks about, things, places, experience, events, his career, the career of others that happen to work on the internet, people who own guns, could not all be used as an attack, every single thing he criticizes a person for? And of course, just using the skills to extrapolate his argument out, that every single person he talks about and every topic he talks about, whether he endorses it or he is against it, that every endorsement is an indictment and every indictment. Is it possible that he's just having a big upsetty spaghetti and he doesn't like that people asked him questions when he said stupid shit? I would hope that he'd have a response to that, but I feel like he would still just be upsetty spaghetti. It's kind of like the meme that I have on screen right now. You think I'm evil? You've misunderstood me. Wait. Are you saying that you didn't try to defame Wendigoon and like a dozen other people out of pure spite because he has more subs than you? No, I did do all that. But you didn't have to be so nasty about it. Bro, why are you attacking me? All I tried to do was shoot you in the head. Did you need to try and stab me in my leg? Come on, man. All I did was try to end your life and end your career and ruin it. How could you be so rude? You're supposed to be one of the good ones. Heroes don't do that. Well, unfortunately for you here, you got 3 anti-villains. My hands are dirty so that the heroes can stay clean. Now come here and let me shrug you. I'm not even going to come over there and put my hands around your neck. Lean into my hand. Choke yourself! Choke yourself in my hand, pilot!
So with all of this, what was his conclusion about Wendigoon at the end of his 30-minute rant session?
Is that rhetorical?
He thinks that because Wendigoon is a conservative who hangs out with other conservatives, he should not only be deplatformed and lose his YouTube channel and all his social media, he should be removed from public life. He should not even be a part of the general public because of his viewpoints. And with that, I'm going to go back to the exact thing that he said about Donut Operator. He's pro-death to people who don't share his beliefs and propaganda.
Yeah.
He wants to virtually end Wendigoon because he doesn't have the same viewpoints as him, and because he makes more money and is more successful.
Ain't that the story of every leftist?
That is the most batshit insane thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, but that's most leftists. You have what I want to destroy you so that I can take it. It's really all based on Fury, Spiral, Cope, and Spite. But I think, to date, for now, this is probably the craziest example of spite-driven, self-destructive behavior that I've seen on YouTube, both as a passive consumer and as an active content creator. I have never before seen a person destroy themselves in this way because they are threatened by a person existing. Wendigoon is just standing there, menacingly, and this provokes you to destroy your life and your own career, trying to destroy his because you don't like him. Now, there have been many times that I've talked about content creators that I look down upon or that I judge because of their actions. For the comparison here, I'm going to pull FD Signifier. He actually supposedly lives in the state of Georgia. Unironically, despite him making a bunch of jokes about other places he supposedly lives, in his one Blair Witch joke, which he, I think, was talking about a separate house he was living in before he moved here, or if he's lived here forever, or whatever the fuck. Okay? Signifier claims to fame that he is, at heart, a teacher. I don't know if that's because he's a substitute teacher, or he was an actual scholar that went to school and then he got his teaching license for a particular subject matter. If it was, I assume it has to do something with Black Africana history, as well as the crossover of, like, Black studies, whatever. If I were to behave the same way to Signifier, and there have been plenty of people who have clearly behaved this way to me, including somebody who was hiding behind Signifier's purse skirts, I would deserve the same thing if I excoriated him and attempted it in the same way that he did. Okay? And I said something like, he doesn't deserve to talk about content creation in that way. You shouldn't be making video essays about culture and content because you don't actually understand culture or content. You're just a black colonizer stealing from the people you say are supposed to be your true audience while attacking other people's audience. It would be deserved for me to get roasted and destroyed the same way. But it's not because he is a black leftist who hates the world that doesn't believe the way he believes. Obviously. And anything that came out of my mouth, should I try to do something on that level, should be seen as something that is just simple cope and mockery that should be mocked for the simple attempt to try it. Now, it'd be one thing if there were some actual criticisms that were backed up by behavior, which, trust me, Signifier has plenty of things to criticize him about, because of his level of pretentiousness and how he chooses to say, even to other black content creators, how in his desire to destroy the system, because he is a communist, he is a collectivist, and he does believe in anarcho-communism, and he believes specifically in anarcho-primitivism. He believes in making use of the system so he can eventually destroy the system, in his opinion, to replace it with a different one, but he's not interested in being a leader. He's very much more interested in being a kingmaker. So he wants to make the people who then are a part of the system that he places in his position as the selector for this paradigm he wants to be a part of. Even if there were credible things that I would criticize him for, people would ignore those things because of how crazy the delusional shit that came aside it would go with. If I were to attack his family, his wife, his friends, his audience, his associates. If I was to come after him and also at the same time make up a bunch of bullshit to attack a bunch of black cornbread tubers, like Foreign Man in a Foreign Land, Ole and friends, some fucking leftists, and other white Wonder Bread YouTubers, like Xander Hall and the such, or Vosh, or Keffels, or what have you, it would be thrown out, because clearly what's coming out of my mouth is coke. It would be that I'm jealous of him doing shit. But, much like when he constantly tried to recruit Jay by proxy, by trying to make her more popular so he could then take credit and say, I made your life and your career more successful, he is doing the same thing all of them do, which is just attacking people because they have the crime of being unpopular. And I can get it. It sucks sometimes that people that you believe don't deserve things get shit. But this is 15 degrees past what you should do as a reaction, right? Let's try desperately hard to find a positive message here that we can learn from. Let's take a positive message and a negative message. What's the most positive thing we can get out of this? Let's use In Praise of Shadows as a cautionary tale about hubris and pride. Should you be prideful in your own work? Yes, you should. Should you have some ego about your work? Yes, you should. You cannot have pride in your work, as well as humbleness in your work, without the aggressiveness to defend the quality of what you believe is your standard. Now, his standard is dumb. Horror is not about love, but
no.
It can be about the love of something. The love of the horror genre in general. If you're not talking about something specific like hammer horror from Italian horror films, or the design of horror.
Do you want me to simplify what horror is?
Sure, go ahead.
At least to me.
Go ahead.
I think horror is getting in touch with the guttural base emotions that we as humans have. It is taking away all of your logic, all of your reasoning, and making you feel something on a carnal level.
Visceral level.
Horror,
yes, on a visceral level.
Horror is reverting you to your rawest emotions.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes. I should say.
As it should be. It's not that the love shit is.
No, it's not. It's not love and heat and hugs and kisses. No, it is feeling fear on a visceral, carnal level that you would not feel unless your life is directly threatened.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that thrill.
Oh, yeah. It can be a drug.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a wonderful drug indeed.
Yes. Now, I will use that to pivot to my point. It's ironic that somebody whose entire channel, let's use his name as a standard of his belief. A man who calls himself In Praise of Shadows wants to attack someone called Wendigo. Now, I'll actually follow suit with the both of you and not even invoke the name of the creature in question, which you can find. Any of you who are interested, just type in the name and then start typing in things on Google. You'll eventually find it. It's a common thing. For those of you who don't know what we're referring to, go look up what the creature that's a part of the story of the game Until Dawn is about. The creature villain of that situation is the thing that we're describing.
Let's look up Native American cryptids.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
You, Praise of Shadows, are jealous of a person who calls himself Wendigo. Now, the portmanteau between the Native American cryptid and the idea of an Appalachian goon, you are upset at a person who is the personification of somebody walking up behind you in a ghillie suit with a Splinter Cell night vision goggle cam, holding an L9 over his shoulder, going, "You ain't from around here, boy. Don't go into the mountains. There's some shit out there. I'm gonna fuck you in the butt." And then them hearing you scream in the distance while they warned you about what was in the mountains, saying, "I told him the buttfuck demons was out there in the mountains tonight. He didn't listen to me." You are somebody who comes from a place rich with cautionary tales of why you don't walk into fairy rings, why you keep your windows shut and you don't have them open to the darkness of the night, why when you hear that a person walked into your house, that you don't immediately rush in and assume that it's a safety, that it's a thing, why you take care to keep eyes on your animals and your children, why when you're staying at home with a person, you confirm what room they're in, and you certainly don't open your door at night. All of these myths and mysticisms, and you are someone who believes that it's a smart thing to be hateful of this person. That's crazy. In the same way that I used the comparison between myself and Signifier, you thought it was a smart idea to make that hit piece and to do all this because you said he doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve to have it. Okay. That brings me to the positive thing. You should use your envy and spite, although it would be a bad thing to do. I'm not saying all of you should do this, but if you're somebody who wants to act like this, you should use your envy and spite in positive outlooks and positive outputs. If you think he doesn't deserve it, work harder to earn it yourself. If what you need is a motivation to say, God damn it, I hate this person. I need to do things to become better than them. Do the things that you believe, or if you need advice for it, ask people and ask for the advice of what you think should be the things that you believe you should do to get to and then above what that person does. If I dislike FD Signifier and his inability to talk about things correctly, what I should do is I shouldn't go on the internet and try to cancel FD Signifier. What I should do is I should react to his content. And I should look at his opinions, as I already have, and say, you know, this is really dumb, and I'm going to tell you why. And I should lay into his takes and his opinions. I should do it with people that I'm friends with. I should do it with people that I welcome to my audience. I should make connections, all so that I can say, hey guys, what do you really think about FD Signifier? And I should try to provide them the room in which they can give their criticisms. And I should amass it into a video. And I should make content about it. I should do streams about it. I should be encouraged to be better, not to mold and cope, because I can't improve my life and its quality if all I ever do is whine and complain. So that if an opportunity would be provided to me, that when that opportunity comes, I say, no, it's not gonna matter. He's always gonna win. He has too much power. It needs to be taken from him. Because really what I'm asking for there, or in this case, what you're asking for there, is you are asking for someone else to come along and say, no, you, Wendigoon, do not deserve your power. Demonetization ray activated! Bzzz. You don't deserve that money. I'm giving it to Praise of Shadows. He deserves it.
Of course.
And what else is that other than demanding that YouTube or some higher power deplatform him because you believe he shouldn't be a priority creator, or he shouldn't be a known figure? It's the same kind of censorship bullshit that happened around the time of COVID, and clearly the leftists have not grown out of it. They never will. They're not used to not having power. Because unfortunately for them, equal treatment feels like castigation and harassment. But that's just my opinion. My opinion is correct, but that's just my opinion. Because to follow off of what Black Queen's saying, he should have used his jealousy of Wendigoon to push harder and work harder. He wanted to do it the sneaky and underhanded way, and it didn't work for him, and this is what you consider instant karma, cotton for it again. Abso-fucking-lutely. I think that's right. What do you think, Cor?
Agree, but I also want to put something out that I forgot to mention.
Go ahead.
He also dislikes Wendigoon because he accuses him of being a Boogaloo boy. While Wendigoon admits that he hung out with that group prior to them becoming politicized and becoming associated with Proud Boys.
In other words, annoying.
He has not been a part of that group, nor has he had any association with them since they became political and left before they started getting that far gone. And he does criticize him like by dressing like him, by dressing with the Hawaiian shirt that is apparently indicative in Boogaloo Boys. What? Just because he wears Hawaiian shirts, or Wendigoon wears Hawaiian shirts, doesn't mean that he's a Boogaloo Boy. It might just be that he enjoys wearing them and he likes how he looks.
Yeah,
you being that accusatory about a group that is very much disputed whether or not they have good or bad intentions, it's kind of fucked up. And then dressing up like that to boot, to emphasize your point while you're talking about him.
I was gonna say, yeah, let's not forget that he's also wearing the same outfit.
Yep, he's in the thumbnail. He's wearing a Hawaiian shirt to try and stick the knife in a little bit deeper, and it's fucked up. And he knew it was fucked up because he got blown the fuck out because of this. So much so that he posted a now deleted thread, quote unquote, apologizing for that part of the video. And thank you to X8, who posted a video reacting to this that had all of those screenshots. I'm going to read that apology, I'm using air quotes, to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
It says, a thread about the last few days. Many people have said very fair criticism of me and my work. That I did not appropriately portray people, and I would like to address this. To Brandon, I do need to apologize to you for two things. The first, you are right. It was wrong for me to use that picture. I included to show that you and Wendigoon had a closeness. There are other images I could have used to demonstrate that. If you felt that you have been mischaracterized, that was not my intention, and I genuinely am sorry. There are ways to talk about this that could have been more professional, and as with anything in life, I'll use this to learn and always do better. I care so much about horror. It's my life, and I grew tired and scared of seeing hate growing on the fringe of something I care so deeply about. You're the hate. Horror is about kindness. Horror is about love. No, it's not. Until next time, Zane. And then he continues. For that, for what it's worth, I am genuinely sorry. The second is I did not do my diligence. It's supposed to be due diligence when looking into allegations against you. To be honest, I saw pictures of you with Turkey Tom, and with Donut Operator, with Wendigoon, with Brandon Herrera, and often with your gun in hand. I wrote you off. I did not feel you were worth my time, and that was as a result of the company you keep. Ultimately, that is a failing on me, though in how I presented that. You using homophobic language to me, though, and calling me a low testosterone freak does not change my opinions about you. My base thoughts remain the same, even though I should have said them differently and not let them cloud my writing. To Mutahar, your thumbnail art was transphobic. I have nothing else to say to that. Hashtag Justice for Worm. I always try to do my best. I dropped the ball here in how I presented this. My heart was in the right place. I try to live my life with integrity. Bullshit. If you've watched me for a long time, I hope you know this. I will always believe in trying to do the right thing and standing up to things that I do not believe in. I was overcome with anger because I think it is incredibly dangerous that there is a man in horror that you cannot criticize without being called an F-slur for days on end. I think that is a very serious issue. But I did let that anger at this affect my overall quality in the presentation of these events. I still think that is dangerous. I still think it should be talked about. But I should have worked at this to make my thoughts more clear and professional. I also think that it is telling that the bulk of what I said was not actually been addressed at all. Yes, it has. And that many criticisms were instead about details that I got wrong, such as the nature of Brandon's work. I feel like it is important to note, even if I was off in some details. Mentally, I have grown very tired of conservatives picking apart my work for 2 years. I'm worn down. I let my emotions get the best of me, but the core idea in this needed to be addressed. But this was beneath me. This was a product that began with The Hills Have Eyes ultimately. I made this video to say that even if Wendigoon did not harbor hate, that his base was made of it, and that he was comfortable making money from that. and I think that point stands true and has now been proven, and it is now time to end this. Today, I will be taking the section down from my video. I will be gone for a month, while I recharge and work on projects at a slower pace. I thought this was important to talk about. I still do. But the way I went about it was beneath the normal standards that I hold to myself. As to my audience, I apologize for that.
Was that the end?
So you're saying you apologize without actually apologizing and take shots at fucking everybody involved?
How would I summarize that apology if I were to try to use his exact words and the energy of his words? It probably goes something like, I'm not sorry, I was right, lick my balls, I'm sick of you bitches, I'm gonna be back in a month, and I'm gonna be on your asses again, same Zane time, same Zane channel, ooses deuces. That's not an apology, Zane. That's not an apology. That's selective picking of your battles and still losing the battles. You lost the battle, you lost the war, you lost the campaign theater, you're being dishonorably discharged to a desolate island that's remote inside the Bermuda Triangle. The coconut crabs are coming. The high tide is rolling in, Zane. We're gonna put you right next to what we believe is the remains of Amelia Earhart. Crab rave. You're gonna be a background character skeleton inside of another crab's treasure. You're gonna be a secret super boss.
Would you like to hear what an actual apology looks like?
Sure.
Because to this video, Wendigoon actually responded.
Yes, he did.
And commented. He says, please,
the Giga shot himself.
Huh?
The Giga shot himself. That's what he said.
See.
Oh. He says, please, no one harass or comment rude things on my behalf. I do not agree with nor condone meanness in any way. If you're here to leave a spiteful remark on my behalf, don't. Nothing good comes from anger. I want to apologize for people saying awful things to you on Twitter. I did not know that this was happening, and I don't stand by that behavior. I followed you because I saw your Slenderman video and enjoyed it, then saw you in my recommended follows. It sounds like you strongly dislike me, and that's okay. But if I've done anything to cause that, I apologize. If I've ever spoken against you without cause or made any joke or at your expense, I'm sorry. I did not follow you to harass you, but if that contributed in any way, I wish I could take it back. You don't have to like me, but I hope you do not feel I have ill will towards you. There is a lot you assumed incorrectly about me, but that's to be expected. I try to keep my life private in what ways I can, and my friends mentioned in the video can take up for themselves. I will only point out that your assertion about Brandon Buckingham is particularly egregious because the lie regarding a threat was made up by Sneeko when Brandon called him out on his behavior. I know you wouldn't support an internet figure like Sneeko, but you inadvertently did by not checking the source. I've made similar mistakes. Most YouTubers have at one point or the other. But harmful allegations spread when people parrot rather than decipher data. I have said things in the past that I do not agree with now, and I'm learning to better myself daily, and each day find myself more in the wrong. I am sorry for the things I've said to bring hurt or strife onto any person or people. May God forgive me. I hope you're successful. The Slenderman video was great, and I hope you don't find yourself or my audience impeding your career. And again, if you're here to leave a mean comment for me, don't be. Class act. That's a fucking class act right there. That is how you apologize. That man could have dug into you every which way from Sunday. And he didn't. The one thing he dug at you for, he gave you grace on. You gave him none. None. You just gave him vitriol and spit venom in his face. You basically said you think he should be removed from all society because he thinks differently than you. Wasn't that a criticism you had of somebody else that you called out in that video? What does that make you? A hypocrite. A flying fucking hypocrite. A raging schizophrenic hypocrite.
It makes him Frieza at the end of the Namek Saga. Goku lets him live. He tries to throw a fucking Destructo Disc ball at him. Goku backhands that shit and says, "Take this Kamehameha. I'll send your flowers in the post."
Yep.
It's not often.
And how does...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's not often that you often see YouTubers demonstrate what the high load and low road look like. But Wendigoon's actions here is the maximized high road. It's not done because, hey, everybody's expecting him to do it. He's doing it because that's what he believes. And he means it. He didn't have to do it because he could have just laid into you and everybody would have said, "Yeah, rip his ass. Yeah, drag him. Slay him. Sipping on that true tea, honey." But he didn't. Because why would he do that? He was just existing. He even said to you, "No, I was not trying to destroy you. I was not letting you know that I knew, and therefore that's what I was doing. I said I saw you, and I put you onto my list because I figured, hey, I liked his work." And then you basically told me why I was the third impact of Evangelion, and I was second Hitler, reborn into the skin of a Native American. It is not common to see this level of vitriolic hatred. And when you see it, you will be uncomfortable when you see it. Because now that we do know, in fact, what indeed made that nigga that mad, we're just shaking our heads in shame. Collective shame. Because, wow, that's really stupid. And even when he had no reason to be, he was still nice to you. You should be ashamed of yourself by proxy. Seeing him do that should make you feel dirty. Good.
He's not.
He doesn't feel shame.
He's not. He proves it, and he proves it in subsequent things that we found from his Patreon and his Discord. Would you like to hear those?
Oh, I'm gonna put them up on screen for the audience. You need to see this shit.
So he very shortly after all this and Wendigoon apologizing when he really didn't have to, he makes this post on Patreon about the video. "Hey everyone, sorry for not saying anything sooner. I wanted to take a few days to clear my head and genuinely listen to the conversation going on around this video before I addressed it. Flat out, I let my emotions get the best of me here. This wasn't my best work and this wasn't my best self. This was made out of anger, and I should never lower myself to do that. And before I say anything, I should say sorry to you for engaging myself this way. I will not be talking on another project like this again. You know me as being Media Analysis Channel, and that is what I should be. I should promote love and horror through providing a positive example. I thought that was what I was doing here, and I think to an extent I did do some good. But I could have gone about it differently. This was not perfect and needed more time in the oven, pure and simple. And that was totally on me. The past few years have been a very dark time for me. The slow, gradual decline in the channel algorithmically following The Hills Have Eyes had built a genuine sadness that has followed me a lot. The realities of the situation meant that I had to make a new video every month or so, and under those circumstances, there would be times where I would not be satisfied with my work, but still had to publish a video because I'd be broke if I didn't. And after my confrontation with Wendigoon's fan late last year, calling me a F-slur, and he doesn't call it F-slur, he actually puts it there. Spells it out all the way. So many times I built up such an anger at how I had been treated that I decided that I wanted to do my video about my personal situation mixed with the deep growing conservative nature within certain sections of horror. I thought this was a good idea. I thought it would promote a conversation that needed to be had. I thought and do still think that his level of social power is dangerous. Telling on yourself. But my video should have probably just focused on the sections related to the Hills Have Eyes. And I do see that now. On the sections related to Wendigoon's cultural appropriation, I think in particular I could have done better. I know that it is a very tricky thing to talk about topics of gender, women, race, and the history of these concepts as a white dude on the internet. White savior complex! And I always try to do my best there in my work and my life. I dropped the ball here in some of the language and topic, and criticism of me on this point is 100% fair. I really hope that you see that I thought that this was important to talk about, and that I thought I was doing good, which is always my goal. I'm sorry to you again, and I did not represent myself with the professionalism and standards that I normally hold myself to as a person, and that you deserve as my audience. I will be around for you to ask me any questions or give me any feedback that you would like to provide. Thank you for your understanding. There genuinely is not anything that I could say that could actually represent my real feelings of gratitude towards you all. Just really, thank you for everything, Zane. Yeah, but he doesn't, he really talks about it in Discord. His real talks about it in Discord. So, he goes so far as to bitch and moan and complain about the backlash in his Discord server with his little buddies, his little hug box. And it starts with, real talk. Do y'all think I can come back from this? Pretty sad tonight, to be fully honest. If I just start back with my normal kind of work, do y'all think things would be fine in the long run? Yeah, I knew this was going to get rough, but it's harder than I anticipated. The rest of the year is supposed to be a lot of fun. I even canceled 2 videos in the schedule to replace them with more on-brand ideas. Weren't you living paycheck by paycheck? I don't think you can afford to go and take a break now. I could just couldn't live with myself if I prevented my partner from having a good life because of my decisions. That's what has been on my mind the most here. I just hope that when I come back, things will be well received. I've decided to leave Twitter completely. A lot of YouTubers have, and I made the mistake of staying there when they took their exit. Keep in mind, he went private after all of that. Further, he goes, oh yeah, nobody in the video has actually refuted any of what I said, lol. They only point out small individual things that were wrong, but don't actually go so far as to say what I said wasn't right. Continued. Unrelated to this, but I've wanted to say that despite everything that's been going on, being pretty brutal on Twitter, and even though I was supposed to be very mean and hurt my feelings, I do actually kind of love this drawing of me that's been going around. I think it's pretty funny. It hurts your feelings, my dude. You're coping. And somebody says that, I guess they say that he can come back. He says, I hope so. I always knew would be hated by some, but I really didn't think this could be a career-ending move.
Now these things I did have up on the screen earlier.
Yep.
And of course there was his, I believe this is from YouTube. Yes, this is from YouTube. The one last quick note.
Yep. This is what he posted before. I think it was just after he deleted the video. One last quick note. Hey everyone. I've already publicly addressed this on Twitter and Patreon, but thought I would do one community note before I left. I have decided it is best at the moment to take down the entire Bad Conservative Horror video. It does not represent me and who I wish to be as a person in the creator. Yes, it fucking does. I admit that I messed up pretty bad in my delivery and made a lot of mistakes, and I am really sorry for that. No, you're not. If I could do it again, I obviously would have done everything differently. This kind of content is not my forte, and I've avoided it in the past because of that. After being harassed in December by Wendigoon fans, no they weren't, and called slurs dozens of times, I was deeply upset over how I've been treated and my perception of him not calling off the attack. He's not responsible for his audience, you fucking idiot. I acted out of hurt and acted in a way uncharacteristic of myself. No, you didn't. You showed it to yourself. Some people have described the video as being very raw, but with that comes comes an element of being underbaked. I didn't do the level of research I should and normally would have done. I messed up there and fully acknowledge that in every way. No, you don't. So I'm taking it down. You're backpedaling. At the same time, I do not believe the harassment I have received these past few days has been called for based on what I've done. Yes, it fucking is. Any criticism of my work is fair and I accept, welcome, and own that. No, you don't. We are all measured by our words and our actions, but I don't think it is dangerous. I do think it is dangerous that these creators do not tweet about or acknowledge the obvious situation at play. He did, you didn't care. I will be fine. This is the last thing I'll say before I log off for a while. I want to reevaluate what I want my work to be, how I want to stand as a positive force within horror, and how to be my best self. I hope you will believe in me and my work again when I return. Again, for my mistakes in this video, I am sorry. I'll be back again a stronger and better self, both for me and for you, Zane. Now, from somebody in the horror community, we don't want you here. You do not go here anymore. See yourself out the door. Don't let it hit you on the way out.
There's an interesting...
Fuck you.
I mean, 100%. I'm standing with her. I don't want you near anything that I have any kind of say in anything. You are bad juju. However, I didn't see it. Beside that first paragraph, I wanna look into. Where is it? Here we are. The people have described the video as being very raw, but that comes with an element of being underbaked. I didn't do the level of research I should and normally would have done. The level of research you should and normally would have done. You
didn't want to. He wanted to make a hit piece.
Yes. You effectively soft-doxed a YouTuber because you're jealous of him and his accolades and his success and his business and working and professional and personal relationships. If that's not the level of research you normally should and would have done, what's the kind of research you normally do?
I mean, I guess we'll have to find out when we watch the Hills Have Eyes, that Hills of Eyes video on Versus Chat.
I suppose we will. It really do be crazy, chat. The hills do have eyes. They will indeed eat you alive. The hills
they
have
fucking
eyes.
See.
I suppose for that we will leave that there, and tomorrow we will probably get into the. Well, it depends. We still have the community event running through to the 3rd of June. But I suppose for Versus Chat tomorrow, we will actually do that while we are, before, actually no, we're not going to do it at the same time. We're going to do the Versus Chat, and then we're going to continue with the community live streams events. Because, we need to sample this, right, chat? Like, keep this information in your head. Collate it, put it in a document, put it in a drawer, put it to the side. Act as though we have a fresh palette going in tomorrow. We need to sample this. We're gonna get a sample of how possibly he could have been inspired to make a hit piece about a content creator because of the franchise of the Hills Have Eyes. We gotta look into it. But I think that will actually do it for us today. Is there anything that you think we might have missed?
There were a couple other things, but they're not really big deals.
Okay.
Nothing of note we can't talk about later or you covered later on.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. And I think on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will be calling it a night. I'd like to thank each and every one of you coming out to listen to us talk about the news of the internet. This is the Chicanery podcast, a podcast that is made and ran by and supported by and funded by viewers like you. Thank you. And if you would like to be able to support the show that you have just consumed and watched, please consider becoming a supporter of the channel on any of the particular channels that you may be hearing us on. Twitch.tv, YouTube.com, patreon.com/SinglePlayerCarl. And if you'd like to give a direct donation and become a pledge member, or even give a one-time donation through Super Chats or through a third party, should you not trust your money with Daddy YouTube to get it to my pockets faster, to support the channel faster, you can be able to donate directly to Ko-fi.com and subscribe.com/SinglePlayerCarl. And you can even consider becoming one of the highest tiers of our members and become a united Negroid Cringe founder, because in the UNCF Foundation, a Carl is a terrible thing to waste. And if you are somebody who would like to come through and check out what we're doing on any other continuous content we do, as I did mention, throughout the entirety of the rest of this month and into the 3rd of June, we are doing community live streams where we are taking part in the community event playing the game Toontown Online. If you want to learn more about that, you can find it in the Discord. Well, the links for the Discord and other links of mine and the hosts can be found in the description bar below. I'd like to say thank you to some of our biggest supporters, of course being the Alabaster, and people such as Suki Cappy, and other people such as Tankard, as well as other members in our highest donating tiers. Thank you for every single one of you that has been a part of the show. You've been a wonderful audience. We have been the Fried Chicanery Podcast, and I think that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We will be seeing you around noon tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, to watch said video, and we will hope to see you then. I'm Carl, and I'm going to see y'all motherfuckers next time. Same Carl time, same Carl channel. We're going to find out what we got next coming up next week. But before we do, we got to say adieu. Say goodbye, everybody.
Deuces. Ooses.
Take it easy, gamers.
Good night, everybody.